outbid the competition on a locker nobody else wanted. But long before Brandi Passante became one of the most recognizable faces on Storage Wars, she was just a kid from Texas trying to survive a childhood that gave her nothing easy. This is the real story, not the headlines, not the gossip, but the actual journey of how a girl who grew you know her from the small screen, sharp-eyed, quick-witted, and never afraid of getting knocked around by her own brothers, became one of reality TV's most enduring stars, whether the public breakup, a domestic violence case, an invasion of her privacy that would have broken most people, and came out the other side building a business, a podcast, and a life entirely on her own terms. Let's get into it. Brandi Passante was born in 1980, and if you're picturing a comfortable, easy upbringing, you'd be wrong. She's described her childhood as tumultuous, and that's not an exaggeration for effect. Growing up with brothers who treated her rough, she learned early how to protect herself, how to read a room, and how to keep people at a distance when she needed to. She's talked about being a quieter kid, someone who'd give people a hard look just to keep them from getting too close. That wasn't shyness for the sake of it. It was armor. It was a defense mechanism built by a kid who didn't have the luxury of a soft landing. That kind of upbringing does something to a person. It either breaks you or it builds a spine of steel. And in Brandi's case, it was the latter. She didn't have people looking out for her financially or emotionally the way a lot of kids do. So she learned to look out for herself. That meant taking whatever work she could find. Babysitting jobs, waitressing shifts, whatever paid. By the time she became a mother at 23, the stakes were even higher. There was no more room for mistakes, no cushion if something went wrong. Every dollar had a job to do. What's striking is that even after fame found her, even after the auctions and the TV deals, that early financial anxiety never fully let go. She's admitted that the fear of not having enough stuck with her long after she'd made it. But instead of letting that anxiety control her, she turned it into a strategy. On Storage Wars, while other bidders threw money around like it didn't matter, Brandi played calculated, careful. That wasn't just good television instinct. That was a survival skill she'd been sharpening since she was a kid, now put to use in front of millions of viewers. At 19, working as a carpet cleaning assistant in California, Brandi wasn't thinking about reality TV or auction houses. She was thinking about getting through her shift. That job is where she met Jared Schultz, her manager at the time, and by most accounts, including his own, he wasn't exactly a smooth operator in those early days. He had a reputation for being short with employees, and it apparently got bad enough that one of his own friends left notes on his truck reminding him to be nicer to her. Not exactly the meet-cute you'd expect from two people who go on to build a life and a business together. Jared was interested. Brandi wasn't, at least not right away. She's joked since then that he simply wore her down over time. Their back-and-forth violated workplace norms, the kind of office romance that companies write policies specifically prevent, but neither of them cared much about that at the time. What started as awkward when Storage Wars premiered in December 2010, Brandi and Jared were given the nickname Young Guns by producers, but in the world of professional auction buyers, they were far from sharpshooters. The other bidders on the show had years of experience, deep knowledge of antiques and collectibles, and buyers already lined up to purchase whatever they found. Brandi and Jared had none of that. What they had was nerve and a willingness to learn fast under pressure, with cameras rolling the entire time. Their first days of filming were brutal by Brandi's own account. No real breaks, no guidance, just bid, win, clear the unit, and do it again. They nearly walked away entirely. But quitting wasn't something Brandi was built for. So they pushed forward, faking confidence until it became real, refusing to be the show's punchline. Then came the unit that changed everything. It looked like nothing special. An old dresser, some boxes, nothing that caught the eye of the more experienced bidders who walked right past it. Brandi and Jared trusted their instincts and spent $1,100 on it, more than they could really afford to lose. Back at their shop, they opened one of the boxes and found a carefully organized collection of vintage silver coins, some dating back to the 1800s. That single gamble turned into more than $13,000, and just like that, the couple nobody expected much and became real contenders. What made Brandi stand out wasn't just the lucky finds. It was her deadpan delivery. sharp comebacks, a refusal to perform for the cameras in a way that felt fake. The chemistry between her and Jared, part real affection, part genuine bickering, gave the show a texture that resonated with audiences in a way scripted banter never could. By the third episode, producers noticed test audiences were gravitating toward the two of them specifically, and their screen time grew. That eventually led to their own spin-off, Brandi and Jared, Married to the Job. Success brought friction, though. Dave Hester, one of the show's more combative personalities, reportedly wasn't thrilled about the attention Brandi and Jared were getting, viewing them as manufactured TV filler rather than serious buyers. At one auction, he allegedly spread a rumor that one of their units was contaminated with mold, an attempt to tank its resale value. When Hester later sued the network in 2012, claiming producers had rigged outcomes and fed certain buyers inside information, it didn't damage Brandi and Jared's standing. If anything, the network doubled down on their screen time, and Brandi kept proving unit after unit that she didn't need any of that. In 2013, she made a solo bid on a locker in Long Beach for under $2,000 and found an antique sculpture later appraised at $7,500. That same year, she picked up a $230 unit everyone else dismissed as junk and found a pristine set of memorabilia that ended up worth roughly $4,000. She wasn't riding Jared's coattails. She was a sharp, instinctive buyer in her own right, and the wins backed that up. Despite spending nearly 2 decades together and raising 2 children, Brandi and Jared were never actually married, something that surprised plenty of longtime fans who assumed after the split from Jared. Brandi made a conscious choice to keep things civil, at least in public. She never used social media to criticize him, and their on-camera banter stayed more good-natured than bitter. When Storage Wars returned in 2021 after a 2-year pandemic hiatus for season 13, Brandi admitted she genuinely missed the show, but filming alongside Jared so soon after their split brought a layer of tension that was hard to hide, on screen or off. She's described that season as one of the more difficult stretches of her time on the show. In the years since, she's found stability in her personal life again, including a relationship with Clifford Beaver that brought a noticeably lighter energy to how she carried herself publicly. She's been open that the relationship gave her a sense of support she hadn't always felt during her years with Jared, when she often described feeling like she was carrying the emotional weight of the household largely on her own. Whatever the current status of that particular relationship, Brandi has made it clear she's not defining her life around it, and she's continued moving forward focused on her own projects. Rather than stepping back from the spotlight, Brandi has leaned into a new kind of storytelling altogether. In the summer of 2025, she launched A Real Reality, a podcast where she sits down with a rotating lineup of guests, from Broadway performers to YouTubers to actors, to talk candidly about fame, identity, and what really goes on behind a curated version of a public life. It's a natural extension of her own experience. Someone who's lived through the best and worst of what celebrity brings, now using that perspective to draw honest conversations out of other people navigating the same terrain. At the same time, she hasn't walked away from where it all started. Storage Wars returned for season 17 in February 2026, and Brandi is right there in the mix, alongside longtime cast members and newcomers alike, still hunting for that one unit that turns a few $100s into a life-changing find. Now in her mid-40s, she's talked about how her approach to bidding has evolved with experience, more measured, more intentional, shaped by 15-plus years of learning the auction floor inside and out. Strip away the headlines and the tabloid framing, and what's left is a genuinely compelling arc. A kid who survived a rough childhood, built a life and a business from nothing with a partner who eventually became her ex, weathered a public breakup in a domestic violence case, fought back against a serious invasion of her privacy, and came out the other side still standing, still working, still finding new ways to tell her story on her own terms. She didn't luck into any of it. She built it, unit by unit, year by year, one tough decision at a time. That's the real reason people keep watching. Not because of any single viral moment, but because Brandi Passante has always been exactly what she looks like on screen. Sharp, guarded when she needs to be, funny without trying, and relentlessly resilient. 15-plus seasons in, she's still finding treasure, both in dusty storage units and in a life she rebuilt entirely on her own terms. So, what do you think made Brandi Passante such a lasting figure in reality TV? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.